Hello, everyone. Welcome to Project Pack number 21. This is our summer project pack, which is always a fun one because it's like everybody's in a different mode in summer.
Well, it's summer here in the U.S.
It is, that's true.
Everywhere,
it's not summer everywhere. We're in a different mode.
Yes.
We're all kind of relaxed
Exactly.
and, enjoying the hotness
and the longer days. Sunlight.
Maybe a little time off with family.
Yes,
all
it's
that
really good for growing a garden.
It is. Oh, speaking of gardens, Martha.
So in this project pack, we are going to continue our path of learning about zentomology and the specific tangle categories that we call tangled genuses.
Ooh, fancy words here.
Right.
Yes, love that.
Yes. This series will shed light on this tangled genus that we call organic tangles. But
yeah, I think we're gonna get a little bit not crazy. Well, we're gonna have some fun here. And what we like to do when we study tangles is, first of all, not be too serious, because it's a fun way to take all these wonderful different tangles and sort of compartmentalize them into these different categories and give us a way to talk about them and talk about their characteristics. But also, there's so much variation and nuance to how we do this that we'd like to offer everybody sort of the ability to do it in their own way and play with it. But we do have tangles that are called organic tangles.
Yes.
And what we're going to do in this project pack is sort of make any tangle organic.
Yeah, it's a stretch of the mind.
Stretch. And we're sort of calling this specific series as sort of tangles of a botanical nature,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So this is going to be fun.
Yes, so as tanglers, we're going to come together and plant some seeds. And now some of these will be literal seeds and some of these will be a little more metaphorical. We will nurture them and watch them grow. And in true Zentangle tradition, we will share these ideas and techniques with you in fun and unexpected ways.
Yes, and we're going to be like botanists, like logging and like charting and like
we're
really
going out in the field.
Studying. Yes, we are going out in the field and collecting. And this is going to be how like people hundreds of years from now learn about what kind of things that we harvested. And I think this is going to be really exciting.
It is.
I'm excited about it.
It is going to be very exciting.
Yes.
So as usual, if you do not have this project pack, you may use whatever you have at home. And if you do have a project pack number 21, please note that we will be using the actual envelope that it came in. So in the last video, we want to make sure you have that intact and do not alter it or throw it away.
Yes, that's very important.
Yes.
Always important. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I've collected and I'm ready to log in my
field notes.
My field notes of this amazingness. Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's do it. I don't know if we mentioned, but I am Molly and I'm with my sister.
Hello, I'm Martha.
All right, we're gonna have a little fun here. So in front of us, we have our Project Pack 21 with our Project Pack 21 tools. We're now have them in these beautiful little pouches, which is like really exciting. Yeah, so that's kind of fun. And I have taken all my tools out already, and I have a sheet from these beautiful pages that we're going to be working on. So there's a place for us to log these tangles of botanical nature. And I think that after you see the first video, you're going to kind of get the hang of how this, you're going to find your flow a little bit of what we're doing here. But like I said, what we're looking to do is not necessarily take what we call an organic tangle and draw it. We're actually kind of combining all kinds of tangles to create a new species, a tangle of botanical nature. So I have sort of collected a couple tangles and smushed them all together to create something we're going to be calling today the Lady Diva's Slipper.
I love that.
That's really fun, right?
Yeah.
Here in New England, we have a special flower that that blooms in like late spring, and it's like really magical. It's actually illegal to pick these flowers, and they grow in the woods.
Well, if you find one in the wild, you're not supposed to pick it.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're these beautiful flowers, and they're called lady slippers. And this sort of fanciful flower that I've invented with tangles is sort of a departure of that, so, or a playful, imaginative variation of the lady slipper. So I'm paying homage to the lady slipper. All right, so I have a whole collection of pens in this set, which is really exciting. And I'm going to be using, I think, a good portion of them in this video. But to get started, I'm going to start with my tried and true Micron 01 and just my black. And I'm not drawing a string here. I don't need a string right now. I have kind of something cool to work with. And a lot of times organic tangles do grow kind of wild and free. And although they love a good string to play with, they don't necessarily need one. They can kind of grow within there and around and beyond. I have this beautiful kind of template to work with, and as usual, it's fun to kind of play around with how we can do things with the template. I'm going to start off by setting up some space for me to use a technique that we've used previously, but if you've never used it before, it's called tucker, and it's a way to sort of make a tangle, specifically one of organic nature, to look like it's sort of tucking through the sheet or the page. And so I'm going to play with this little bit of edge right here, and I'm going to draw a little aura that kind of doesn't go all the way, somewhat like that, right at the bottom here. And I'm going to use that just as a place to put my stems that I'm going to put in here a minute here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a stem that comes into the center of my sheet here. And as usual, if you're, especially if this is the first video you're watching, I could encourage you to just sit back and watch for a minute and then maybe go back and follow along afterwards. So I'm going to create a nice thin stem, and this first stroke or this first bit of the tangle that or tangulation that I'm creating here is a variation of the tangle poke root or poke leaf. So just like you would in poke root or poke leaf, I'm creating a nice thin stem. And then just like with poke root or poke leaf, I'm going to cap it off with like a little arced line there. And I like to immediately add a little love to my my stem there by inking in. And then I learned this from my mom, this little technique where I just put a little ink in the top there, and I love the way that looks. And she always teaches me all these fun little details where I'm like, oh my God, that's so simple, but it makes such a difference. So in normal poke root, and I have a little scrap piece of paper here so I can show you. In a normal poke root, it's that beautiful little stem with a cap, and then you would put a nice little berry. And then a lot of times we do a poke leaf, which would have the similar one, and then you'd have this like little leafy shape. Both very adorable, and we use them quite often. But today with Lady Diva's slipper, we're going to take sort of these two shapes and then make one really, really long, almost leaf-like stroke that kind of combines that. And I'm gonna play. I mean, this is gonna be. Are you ready?
It's gonna be an exaggerated.
An exaggerated form. And so I'm gonna create a big, big leaf that takes up almost all of this space. And I want the top to be. I like to give a little kind of not so perfectness to it. And I'm gonna come around a little bit down, and then come around, and
I love it already.
You do?
I
Oh, Martha, thanks.
I do.
Yeah. So that's my Lady Diva slipper. But Lady Diva slipper, unlike a real lady slipper, they usually grow with like a cluster of these little flowers of sorts. So I'm going to put, I think, like two more next to it. So I'm going to put one that kind of grows maybe on this side, the stem. And this one's going to come sort of behind it, and I'm going to imagine that it kind of pokes out right here. Is that good?
Yeah.
So that one goes like that. And trying to think about where I want this to end up because I sort of want to, I think I want to play with it going behind. I think we can do this, Martha.
Escaping the window?
Escaping. And everybody's is going to be a little different, so you can try to figure out what's happening on yours, but I'm going to first put my little, and then I like to ink it. And then if you want to put that little, love that. And then I'm going to make this kind of growing over here. So I'm going to stop at the window and then I think I'm going to play with like it kind of going underneath and then like imagine that it's going underneath and then popping back up over here. I think we can do this. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then we'll put another tucker.
A lot of layers going on here.
Right?
Love it. Absolutely.
So I don't know. When we start shading this, it's going to be fun. But I'm trying to play around with how this looks like it's sort of exploding off the page a little bit. All right, so we have that one there. And then I think I want to put one more in, Martha. And this one is, it didn't get maybe watered enough and it's a little droopy. So.
Happens to the best of us.
I know. So this one's kind of coming about over here. And I might turn my tile a little bit. And once you guys get the hang of your Lady Diva slipper, you can put yours however you want. And this one I'm going to go straight over this like sort of penciled, I'm going to go over everything, and Martha's going to show you this cool thing later on how we can play around with that. So I'm going to go over everything. Play around with that. All right, so those are my Lady Diva's slippers. They kind of are hanging out, having some fun. And then just like any other, I guess, flower or botanical, is it a species? A botanical species? Is that what you call it? Yeah, okay. It sometimes
Specimen.
has, a specimen. It might have leaves that follow with it, other foliage that comes with it. And this particular Lady Diva slipper has these very tall, sort of spindly leaves. And so I'm going to put a couple of those in, sort of the leaf of the plant. And just these long, thin, very cool. We'll tell you a little bit more about where this such plant grows.
It's part of the supporting structure so that they stay upright.
Exactly, yeah. And then I might put another one here. Oh, yeah, you're right. That is probably its purpose. I never even thought about that. I like to make my strokes have a little character. Again, my mom told me that. You want a little character in your lines, so they have this realness to them. And then maybe one that's coming up behind. Maybe this one pops up in here. That one has a lot of character.
Mm-hmm.
And then, take a look at your composition and try to decide where you want to put more of these.
You can always add some later on. Too.
Yeah, that's a good point, Martha, actually. All right, and you're right, we can always add more later if we want to, but I think that's pretty good. So it's almost looks like lily padish, I don't know, but it's just by sort of stretching out this idea of a poke leaf or a poke root, and it gives it like a totally different look. And it is fun to play with your template or play with your string or use the template as a string. So we're start to incorporate in some of that too. Well, this looks fantastic, Molly. I love already the liveliness that this is inviting.
I know, right?
It's really fun. Already has so much character.
Well, I think it needs more.
Oh yeah, we're gonna add some color right now in our garden. I'm gonna pick up this sort of peachy colored jelly roll that came in my my project pack. Right now we're gonna add a texture inside these beautiful blossoms called Diva Dance. So with my jelly roll pen, I'm gonna start out with this larger blossom in the middle, the first one that we drew together. And Diva Dance is a texturing tangle. We were talking about the way we categorize different tangles. So this one can offer this wonderful background or a filler to basically any space that you want to fill. I'm going to start my Diva Dance by sort of using this stroke here as my my guide or my inspiration. And I'm just going to start with a kind of a elongated aura around this line, minding that it has a curve and appreciating that curve. And that's going to be the way I start.
It's that idea of just letting the tangle sort of dictate the next stroke, kind of letting it show you though.
Absolutely. These jelly roll pens flow so beautifully, and you'll realize right off the bat that just a light touch is all you need. So we're going to start with this line as our guide, and we're going to start to add some of this luscious ink. And I'm laying down these sort of ellipses that kind of kiss the line that's there. You see how I have those chunks of ink that kind of flow right along the line. And now I'm going to aura this newly created line that just happened. And that's it. That's Diva Dance. It's auras and little deposits of ink. And each line you can add ink in different areas, balancing out what you see in front of you. So we add a little ink and then aura the line we just created. Each layer I'm adding ink in a different place, but I am consciously keeping my auras in a consistent nature. Some of my layers will have lots of ink added, and you can actually add aura lines that have no ink. Aura is such a wonderful tool, really. It's a tool while you're tangling because it can guide you in places that you perhaps weren't aware to go. If you don't know what to do, what did Mom always say?
When in doubt,
aura.
And this is a great zone out time. It kind of is going to be an investment in this one tangle, just letting yourself kind of let go, not thinking about anything, just letting the pen kind of follow the line before it.
Yeah, it's a great example of kind of the magic of creating with the Zentangle method, and it's that opportunity to really just dive into what you're doing, not really thinking about what's coming next, but knowing that the pen's going to tell you what's coming next. Sometimes it's nice to pause for a minute and kind of see your progress, see where you've been depositing the ink, appreciating that it's there for a reason. Maybe you want to shift perspectives. You can turn your page all the way around and kind of tackle it from the other end, seeing how that changes the outcome or changes the rhythm.
Remembering to breathe, loosen your grip on your pen. The Jelly Roll pens are these really cool pens, but they are a ballpoint pen, which means the ink is released when you put a tiny bit of pressure to the surface of it. But if you put too much pressure, it sort of stops the ball from rolling. So there's this sweet spot where you can get the most gel ink to flow, and to me, it's fun to play with not pressing too hard and seeing how that ink can just flow out, not going too fast. Get the most out of your pen.
You can see after you make some progress, there is actually this underlying pattern of the deposits of ink that was completely unplanned. And that definitely helps create movement, as Molly was saying. It has movement. And now I'm going to flip my tile over, my page over, and tackle this from underneath. Drawing my aura line, picking up my pen when I get to the stem. And I'm going to build my ink deposits from the bottom now. I love it. All right.
That's gorgeous.
It's fun, right?
Wicked fun. Love it.
All right, I'm going to continue on, starting off exactly like we did before, using that kind of upside down smile, if you will, as my first line that I'm going to draw. So now I'm coming underneath again, where we're going to deposit our ink on the underside. These are looking so fun. All right, so now I'm going to go and work on this one down here. We're going to start out the same way, where we aura this little kind of smile here. But I want you to be mindful of how we've drawn over this line, because we're going to do something very clever. And we're going to cover it up with this jelly roll. It's kind of like a magic tool.
Ooh, I love magic tricks.
Yeah. So we aura here.
We do say there's no mistakes in Zentangle, but there's lots of magic.
Well, there's lots of ways to fix something that you don't love, because you should always love your work.
Yeah. Well, and the more like little magic tricks you learn, you realize that, oh wow, there really is no mistakes. I can basically, once you're tangling for a while, you become a superhero.
So here I'm approaching this, and I'm actually just going to cover it with the black pen. And I can kind of...
No, jelly roll.
I'm sorry, with the jelly roll.
Yeah.
Because the ink is so opaque that it just goes right over it.
Yeah, and we'll add a little extra ink here and there on it, and nobody would ever know that there was a black line under there. And we're also kind of ignoring these lines that are here, these gentle string lines that are on the page. And you can cover those up too, if you choose to do so. When you get to the end here, you can play around with how you want to finish up the tip of the flower. And then we come underneath. Oh my goodness. Glorious.
Coming alive, Martha. I love it. Okay, Martha, before we shade, we have a very important thing we need to put in here. And this is like something you see in a lot of botanical illustrations, is like a sort of side illustration of maybe the bud or the seed.
Or the leaf.
Or the leaf, or some sort of like close-up. But I would like to, on mine, include what the seed of this
Oh, I can't wait to see what the seed looks
very like. Fancy Lady Diva slipper. And so I'm going to put it in here, and we're going to play around with different places to put the seeds throughout this series. But I think I'm going to play around with kind of creating something that is sort of a normal seed shape. I'm going to start with a little line here and do a half circle type of thing, and then aura that middle line and create a sort of
like a coffee bean.
Yeah, a little coffee bean. And then what I'll do is I'll kind of cap those off on the this is a very, because it's this magical seed that is going to create these plants of wonder, amazingness.
Yeah, I see it.
You do. And I think I'd like to add the Diva dance detail to it. I'm in a sort of miniature way. So just maybe nothing too crazy. More just like little wavy stripes with a little weight here and there.
It's so cute.
Right? Just a little seed. And I think I'm enjoying like this black text throughout, so I'm going to write the word seed there.
Oh, there you go. You can pretend.
Yeah, like almost as if it was supposed to be here, but you can decide to do that or not. I'm just going to do it. And we're going to add more text. There we go. Seed. Just in case.
Just in case you didn't know what it was.
Well, people might not know what it is.
Well, in 100 years.
Are you making fun of me?
No, I'm not.
It's a
Such
seed.
good idea.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, shading. So I'm going to start with my graphite pencil. I'm going to shade the actual Diva dance first, and then we're going to add some background colors here. Just some real basic shading using the tip of my graphite pencil on its side. So I kind of get the control of the tip, but the softness of the side of the graphite. And just putting a nice sort of dark bit of graphite. Again, especially when you're working over jelly rolls, using the side of the pencil is pretty important, because if you use the tip, you're going to scratch the gel ink, and we really just want to put a soft hue over it. So I do recommend getting that pencil on its side. Just taking your time. Then I'm going to grab lots of tortillones in this project pack, and I'm going to make sure I grab one that's got graphite already on it. So we do want to use, we like to save tortillones for different colored pencils so that you can get a nice clean blended look on your paper, so not everything looks dirty. Although the way I work, everything ends up being eventually.
Eventually they do all the color.
Well, because I'm blending
A little
things
muddy.
and
I don't
yeah.
know. I kind of like the magic of, oh, what's the residue on this one?
Right. See what happens. But I always have an intention of starting. But as you can see, now we're getting some very cool dimension going here, right? We're going to do the same thing for the other ones. Okay, we're going to play with our little poke throughs here. I don't know if you did the same on yours. You might have had a totally different way that your flowers kind of landed. And that's okay too. I might put a little darkerness right here. Those two. And then our one that got maybe trampled or didn't get enough water. That's okay, you have to have those too, because serve a different purpose. Oh wow, that is like jumping off the page. And I think I would add a little bit to this seed down here too, maybe just at the top and bottom. Okay. Now I want to add a little bit of shading to these stems, not much. Just playing around with where they might overlap, things falling behind, just creating some dimension here. Bunch of graphite at the bottom here where it falls behind. Oh, and then underneath, of course. Just taking your time. The shading is such a wonderful part of the process, and it adds, I mean, look how different this already looks. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Really very cool. I'm going to add some shading to this Tucker detail that we started with. And the first thing we do with our Tucker to sort of take your black pen, kind of create a little triangular shapes on each side that kind of make it look like a little shadow back there, which is cool. I'll do that up here as well. This one's upside down. So. And then to shade this, you kind of play around with where this imaginary bunch of stems is going through and really lightly draw a line and then just shade to the opposite side. Same thing on this side, really lightly draw a line.
So cool.
It's illusion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very cool illusion. You can soften it a little bit. There you go. Really pretty. And then we can do that up here too. Just a little illusion. We call this a tangle technique. Really light line. We had a little, I think we have a contest when we named this.
At a seminar, isn't it?
Yeah, it was named by a CCT for sure. I love that. That's such
It's
a cool
great.
approach.
It's really great.
Yeah, it's a neat little technique to use. So
Especially with the
yeah, and we wanted to
paper.
show that in the first video so that you can play around with as we do more of these. That one's pretty fun. Yeah. Okay, now we're going to add some background color, and that's what these beautiful pastel chalk pencils are for. We put them in here not so much to add to the well, you can add them, use them in the tangles themselves, but also to create sort of space for these, to change up the template itself. So I'm going to go about the edges with this chalk pencil. I'm going to go all the way around, not coloring in the whole thing, because what's so great about these pastel chalk pencils is that you can really move around the chalk or whatever it is, the pencil, once you put it on the paper. So I'm just kind of adding, and I'm using the yellow, but if you want to use a different color, you can use a different color, definitely.
Yeah, I think everybody got 4 different colors, so
yeah,
lots of opportunity for. Are you filling in the whole background?
Nope, I'm just doing the edges and kind of like, I'm gonna pull it in. Okay, as you can see, I kind of skipped ahead here and I added bits of the yellow to all these spaces outside as well as the inside. And I really just did the edges and then kind of pulled it in a little bit. But what I'm gonna do now is take a tortillon that I have dedicated for my yellow and just invite it into the paper. It's quick, doesn't take much. And just kind of gets all the dust off and gets it into the grain of the paper. And as you can see, we're already adding such dimension to the piece. And these cute little spaces here could be, I mean, you could add more magical things in these, and in some of the coming videos we will do that. But they're, spaces for maybe leaf details or...
Well, I think that's what's fun about this project, because you're going to learn something kind of unique in each video, and it will allow you to go back to your other pages that you've already done and add something else that enhances the description of what your terrific blossom means to you.
Right. So I'm adding a little graphite here, and I'm going to just show you what I'm going to do is just graphite over the pastel pencil, and now we have like this kind of modeled,
so neat,
very cool look. Oh, that's
it really looks
really
like
neat.
It's
yeah,
folding the paper there.
Yep. And again, using the tip of the pencil to kind of and you could do it all the way around or just play around with where these little divider things come in, and play around with kind of easing up as you go towards the middle. It makes a difference. And I might put some shading over this to kind of play around with it falling under. What do you think about that? And everybody kind of finds their way with shading. Some people like to do a bunch of shading, then do the tortillon. Others like to kind of do it as they go along. So you can see the difference looking at the unmodeled one, right?
And maybe you like it untouched too, because it is such a gorgeous yellow.
And I kind of find myself going back with the tortillon just to, add to it here and there. Oh, that's very magical looking.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I will touch these little triangle pieces. And I forgot to put my little tucker in right here. All right, so I think that's pretty good for my shading. I just am gonna add one little detail. I know, I just couldn't help myself. I wanna put like a little I'm using the side of my white charcoal here.
It almost creates it on its own, but I see this really does kind of.
Just a little soft one right down the middle there. Again, using you want to use the side of your charcoal pencil because you don't want to scratch the jelly roll. So one of the fun things I think that you learn as you become a more practiced tangler is that you have the ability to go back onto a tile after you've shaded and add some ink again, and it's kind of a finale, if you will.
Oh, a finale.
Yeah. Well, it just kind of tightens everything up. Anyway, it's a really nice way to complete your intention on your work. So I'm gonna go back to the black 01 pen, and I think I'm gonna first just go around these beautiful blossoms and just kind of clean up the edges, if you will. And it helps sort of define those spaces, you know, your original intention, and covering up any little bits of gel ink that might have gone over the edge. Also, the pastel and the graphite really kind of like takes the blackness out of it, you know? So it's a way to like kind of bring it back. You don't have to do it everywhere, but it's like certain areas, like you're saying, on the edges of that really do. Yeah. And then you can also start adding just a little bit of bits of ink where lines meet. We call that rounding. Anywhere where you see two lines come together, it's almost like they're just meant to be there. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a neat practice to go back and revisit lines. And this one here, especially because it goes over one of our... It brings it forward. Yeah. Somehow. We don't know how. Oh yeah, in between there, that really changes it a lot. Where all these stems come together. I'm also going to show you this really cool trick that my sister just showed me. And we're gonna dress up these little supporting sticks here outside my blossom. I think it's how it pollinates. Oh. Yeah. For real? They're pollinators, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bedazzle, I guess, these these little stems. They're seed dazzlers. Seed dazzlers. All right. So starting at the top here, I'm going to show you this fun little trick. We're going to draw, well, I'm going to draw a reverse S shape. Starting out, and then I'm going right over the top of it. That's actually an S shape. Oh, yeah, it is an S shape. The other ones I was doing reverse. Again, on this side, and you go over the top, and you land on the other side. Yeah, what I say is I start on the left and on the right, yeah. It's just an elemental stroke. Yeah, just an elemental. Boom. It's kind of this crazy feeling to draw over a line like that. And maybe you want to kind of emphasize that over the top there a little bit. Ooh, I like. Just to make it, just very, to prove to yourself that you did it on purpose. Right? Do it on purpose. Deliberate elemental strokes. Oh, I love that, Martha. So, if you like to do that to all your little stems here. What happens when they pollinate is they break free.
Is this the theory, or
Yeah.
is it proven?
No, I've done research.
Okay.
And research on the Lady Diva slipper. Yeah. Oh, yes, exactly. It breaks free, and then that's how the pollinating happens.
Well, you can see that we're having a lot of fun getting kind of fanciful and playful with this idea of, as Molly was saying, turning any tangle into something of an organic nature.
Yeah. Because it's a different approach, the way that organic tangles sort of find their way onto the page.
That one went behind. Well, you can see we could almost go on forever with all of these little details, but maybe a little here.
I think we're almost ready to put our
we have some thoughts we have about this
our
particular.
descriptions in.
Yeah.
All right, so I am going to put in some words around here to sort of add to the identity of this Lady Diva slipper. I'm going to use this goldish colored jelly roll, but you might use your black. I guess what I would recommend is whatever you decide to write your. I don't even know if it matters. If you wanted to, you could do the same thing on every
You can
page.
also use pencil.
Or pencil if you're. And you could even save it for later if you'd like to. I have a couple things I'm going to write here. It doesn't mean you have to write the same things. You might come up with something a little bit different. Or if you want to do it as I'm doing it, that's totally fine too. So this is your piece to create. So I'm just going to write Lady Diva slipper up here. And I'm going to try to think about how I'm going to fit it in here because I messed that up. But we'll see what happens. So
There are no mistakes.
I know, right? Lady, I'll do my Diva in all caps.
And part of the fun, of course, is coming up with a fun name, and maybe you're inspired with a different term or a different name.
Right.
So perhaps your flower blossoms have a different source. We're going to find out. I can't wait to hear and see all of these wonderful discoveries that people make in their gardens.
I know, right? Making this a little fatter for fun. I don't know why. All right, Lady Diva slipper. Then we have these really cool areas all around here. And what we've thought about this, and you can decide whatever you want to put in here is fine, but this is what we're going to do. In the description area, we're going to play around with the tangles used or inspired. And so in this particular one, I played around with sort of a variation of poke, root, and poke leaf. So played around with that. I also played around with a tangle called Diva Dance. And then we also played around with the technique Tucker. So I'm going to put that in here too. Tucker. And I'll put in the seed. The seed was kind of mollygon-ish, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
A little bit of a mollygon shape. These are just tangles that I sort of feel like maybe. So that's in my notes. I'm just putting that down here. The next part is kind of where we think that this particular plant might grow. And in my invention of the Lady Diva slipper, I have decided that this beautiful organism grows, I think it only grows where children play. This is like a weird plant, and you'll only find it in schoolyards and backyards or anywhere where a child has pounced or rolled or done anything where previously thought to be ruining maybe a garden, this plant is only enhanced when a child is stumbling and stomping and doing whatever. It's like, it's the opposite of it. And so I have decided that this is curiously found where children play. And in this world, it's necessary also. So it's almost like we have to encourage our children to be wild and imaginative and playful outside wherever they like. And then these beautiful Lady Diva slippers show up. Play and frolic, because that's just a fun word, right?
It is.
Okay. So that is where you find the Lady Diva slipper. And then I also have this little section called virtues. And a virtue is something that maybe the plant might symbolize, or maybe it has some sort of healing quality, or maybe it has some sort of, the smell of it enhances something. And so in this imaginative world, the virtues of the Lady Diva's slipper go a little bit along with the childlikeness of where it grows, and it supports creativity, free play, and adventure. Whoops. And then in the notes section, I would like to let it be known that it blooms all year round in all climates. Very, very diverse plant.
Very robust.
It's robust, yes. So these are kind of something we want to have a little fun with, and we encourage you to have fun with it too. And so congratulations on finishing your first tangle of a botanical nature. And I hope you're excited to join us for the next couple of series. And we'll see you all pretty soon.
Very soon.
Thanks,
Have a
Martha.
great day.
Bye.